How we doing, guys? We are live. Welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Here with head coach of the no, just kidding. Here with my brother from another mother, Mr. Richard Dorney. Good to see you, Rich. How you doing, brother?
Does not look like Brian Dable. He's substantially fatter than me.
He is. He doesn't. He doesn't. I've seen the breakfast that you have at your house, pal. It's clean and lean, dude.
I did ask my mom if she knew him. She said no. So
I don't know, man. I want to just leave that where it is.
there's no paternity. I was hoping. I was selling for Giant season tickets, but what's going on, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Got to talk about obviously baseball, the direction of both our teams. I know you got to be excited. One of your best starts in recent memory. And then, now granted, you guys were in first. We know the story of last year, but I will admit your guys do have a different look. So,
not only in
further ado, the title of this show is
Two Dicks and One Brawl.
We're both named Richard. You figure that shit out. All right. Let's start here. I'm going to let you start first, let you get warm, let you talk about your team. So that way, the way I see it is the quicker we start talking about your team, the quicker we can stop talking about your team. Now, let's start, man. Got to give credit where credit's due, man. The New York Mets looking like every bit of a contender right now. I gotta say that.
They're not only first place in the National League East, they are the best team in baseball as far as record goes. And I, and you know this, have always said, well, they're the Mets. And something was going to happen. But I think the stink in the room left when the Wilpons left. And I think that last season, Uncle Stevie showed that he was committed by going out and getting Lindor. A lot of people have had some issue with him. Oh, he's not going to hack it. He's not going to hack it. He's not going to hack it. I don't know if anybody's watching this year, but he is vintage Lindor to start the season off. Got to tell you, though, there is one piece that's made this all work. And I'm going to talk about all the new acquisitions, the pitchers, the position players. To me, there is one person that has changed the culture of this team. There is one person that has changed the culture of the fans towards this team. And there is one person that has changed the outlook of everything related to this team. Who is that person, Mr. Hicks?
If I had to take a guess, I would have to say Max Scherzer.
Nope. Former coach of the Yankees.
Oh, you're talking about your skipper, Buck Showalter. I got you.
Buck Showalter is something that the Mets haven't had in a very, very long time. So, just as an example, right? Diamondback series. It looked like Dom Smith may not have tagged up properly on a sac fly to the outfield. So, because he's educated his team so well on the rules, J.D. Davis knew enough to intentionally lap first towards second to take the out, causing the play to be at second and not at home, leaving it unreviewable by the Arizona team, therefore gaining a run. Okay? That is the most un-Metsy play in the history of baseball, right? We are usually on the other side of that call, where Terry Collins is standing there staring at the sun, trying to figure out how he just got fucked. So, to me, you have a guy who is creating this belief that we are a baseball team, and that's where it starts. So you're right, Scherzer, right? Another clubhouse guy.
I thought what Scherzer did was huge with the way that he was defiant about we're the team now. I mean, it's good. It's good for New York City baseball, dude, because I mean we were We were in attendance those two games last year. The intensity, 9/11, 9/12.
You
Now,
mean
granted, you guys
where
were doing
Lindor hit
a lot
3
of
home runs?
yeah. We split them. Aaron Judge stepping up in a big way in that particular 9/11 game. Two great games. I wouldn't say two great series because you guys put a hurting on us earlier in July. I feel that we were very fortunate uh, to win two against you last year, let alone what we were able to do. We split our two games, we won two, but the Mets to me have the leader now. I also think by bringing in a character like Scherzer, they are finally in a position that when Jake comes back, it doesn't have to feel as rushed because you look at other guys in that rotation that have stepped up.
All right, so hold on. Scherzer was not even the best of the best to start off this season. Right, he had a pretty spotty first outing. Second outing was better. Obviously, this last outing, he went 7 innings, no hit ball before he gave up, a bloop single to the left field. Which, to be quite honest with you, I was pretty happy that it happened because, it's cold. He's coming off that hamstring.
You don't want to chase history in that kind of weather.
I saw Santana ruin his career and never come back. As a matter of fact, I went to the game, the first start after his no-hitter, and it was against the Yankees in the Bronx, and I made it through 3 innings before I left because he gave up back-to-back home runs, and he just never found the plate ever again.
Dude, it's unnatural. Pull it off a feet like that. I mean, shit, even a no-hitter. Look at what happened with Corey Kluber last year, now a member of the Tampa Bay Rays. He threw that no-hitter for us, and within 2 weeks, he was shut down for the majority of the season with shoulder issues. A recurring thing that followed him in his Cleveland days after winning 2 Cy Youngs.
So Jake went down. Tyler McGill started the season on the road, right? Was near perfect through his first 2 starts, had a 0 ERA. Until the third go-around, the Mets had the lowest team ERA in the history of baseball, I think, in the first 10 starts or something crazy. Cookie Carrasco looks like the 2019 comeback player of the year. He had some bone spurs removed. He says that he feels as great as he's felt in 5 years. His off-speed pitches are clicking. David Peterson stepped in.
And Buddy, we saw him on the 9/12 game. And even early on, you could see that he has definitely taken a turn for the better because even last season, you and I remember, had this conversation in between the Macho Man match between Giancarlo hitting 2, your boy Lindor hitting 3. That atmosphere was so electric, bro.
Well,
and I'm saying to myself, now they're both potentially, in my opinion, the Astros have definitely fallen down on the power charts. It's early, it's April. The point I'm making is a Subway Series is feasible. And that's exciting. It was my prediction for our MLB preview, but it's exciting. It's very exciting. Something I want to touch on. Yeah, that's dope, dude. 2000 season. Bring that back up for a second.
No, we don't talk about that. So, hold on. We left out, right? The Mets went and signed or traded for Chris Bassett, who was the ace of the A's. Came here, and his first 2 starts were electric. Now, he had a little bit of blip on the last start. I went to opening day. He was phenomenal, and that the crowd was pumping behind them. So you have probably, right, if I'm not going to be an asshole Mets fan here, if they continue to pitch the way they are, right, from 1 through 4, you probably have the best rotation in baseball. If Jake comes back in June, and by mid-June, end of June is Jake, you have the best rotation in baseball. So from there, we move to the pieces that were brought in. For the first fucking time in so long that I can remember, somebody sat down and actually said, what does this team need to be successful? What are we missing? Not who can we get for less money than everybody else? Who can we get just to put out there? Who can we get to just fucking fill the goddamn field, right? The trade for Kana and Starling Marte from the A's, phenomenal, right? Mark Kana's got one of the best batting averages in baseball right now. He's consistently getting on. You have Marte, who's already caused havoc in the bases. I don't know if you saw, but yesterday or the day before, he created his own run. He got walked or he got a hit, but he got to first. He stole second, which caused the error that got him to third, and then on a pass ball he scored. He literally created his own run. We haven't had someone who can cause havoc on the base paths and potentially be a threat to steal every time he gets on base since Jose Reyes in his prime.
Yeah, Jose Reyes in his prime. And on a good day, when everything was loose and warm, an older Ricky Henderson, maybe.
Yeah, another guy I could care two shits about.
Oh, absolutely. I think we both agree that he hasn't exactly given both our teams his best efforts.
You have Escobar at third, who has the most doubles in baseball. Granted, we're 14 starts in, but he's 2 or 3 above everybody else. He's been phenomenal to see. The synergy, the pieces that are here, right? You got Marte, Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil's has been, hitting for average,
and now the universal DH gives you guys, more creativity.
Old man Cano dropped a bunt on the shift. It was the craziest thing. It was a perfect bunt. It rolled the third base side line, and he got to first.
Former almost Yankee legend. Want to shift this to my team for a moment. One thing that
I have one piece left. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bud.
We've had a little bit of bump in the road with the bullpen. That trade Miguel Castro straight up to the Yankees for Joely Rodriguez.
Yeah, you texted me anger and rage.
Did you make out on that? Because I think my 14-month-old could go out and do a better job than this guy. And because he came from the Yankees, it makes it even harder. I scream at him consistently. And then, dude, everybody shit on the man, but Diaz is coming out, right? He's only had.
We'll give you Gallo for Cano.
I'll take that. Diaz has only had 2 save opportunities out of the 7 appearances that he's had. But that's just because we keep putting up runs and he needs to get work. He's gotten both of those saves. His ERA is great. He looks like Edwin Diaz of old. I think what happens to these players, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, what I think is when you look around, especially if you've been here for a few seasons, and the connection between everybody and their position and their parts and their ability to be the thing that ignites the next guy, right? You get Marte on, Nimmo walks, gets on, you steal a base, Lindor brings him over, Pete brings him home. And then you're looking at these pitchers, they're doing what they're doing. It gives you a reason to go out and to be part of it. I think when Diaz comes out now, Timmy Trumpet's playing, everybody's going nuts. It's great, and he gets out there and there's focus, and it is so much. I am so overwhelmed with this craziness that the Mets are the best team in baseball as of today. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you that that's going to coast through, and that we're going to be 20-8 and then 30-12 and whatever. But I think the Mets are going to be in first place, and I think it's going to be on the Mets to lose first place. We're 4 games up.
They were my pick.
The Phils look like shit.
Going in.
The Phillies look like shit. Their pitching has been terrible, and Schwarber got off to a hot start, and then died on the vine. The Braves are kind of in and kind of out, but they've lost to a few other people. Who I think is going to be potential wild card after watching them pitch is the Marlins. Their pitching staff, is crazy. They got that Sixto Sanchez coming back. You got all those players. I mean, they're consistently pumping out pitching prospects that they ship off somewhere else because they're just like a quadruple A farm
They're
team.
like another farm team. But let me ask
Right.
you, is it finally safe to say that the guy behind me, standing next to the straw man, is a damn good manager?
Yeah, I listen. I love Donnie baseball. It's
I
nothing
just
but
felt in LA, a lot of people kind of gave him a bad rap, that Tory kind of fed him the
yeah,
job.
fuck the
And I
Dodgers.
get it. I get it. Fuck the Dodgers is right. I hate them too. Just busting and making a complete mockery of any and all luxury tax. In a way, they did do you a favor, though, kind of getting Freddie Freeman out there, at least in my opinion, because no, I do not believe that Matt Olson is going to have the same impact that a Freddie Freeman does. And in your case, that helps your team. One thing I want to say about your team before we move it over to mine. Last season, when the Mets were nursing a lot of injuries and just going through the dog days of summer, I think the finality of knowing that you guys were not going to be able to make the playoffs was more than likely when you had that horrendous, just brutal stretch against the Dodgers and Giants. From a psychological standpoint, and as just a fan of the game, I got to say that beating them 3 out of 4 in a very dominant fashion has to do something for the morale of your team moving forward.
Guess who's coming too? You got the Dodgers coming. You got the Cardinals coming. If we can take these series,
you needed that against the Giants. A lot of people forget, man, because they died in that one game playoff scenario. Giants were phenomenal last year.
107 wins.
Yeah, hard to believe. And that's why I'm happy that MLB changed it to at least a 3-game wild card situation now. Because those were two powerhouses. Somebody had to lose, somebody had to win.
And the Metsies touched up their best pitchers too.
No, you guys had a great series. And you and I both know that pitching is so vital. And not just starting pitching, you're talking about top to bottom as a staff. As a Yankee fan, one thing that I've been frustrated with in the early going.
The Orioles?
Well, them too. I mean, that's our one series loss. Aaron Judge is having a hell of a game tonight. 2 homers. Gunned down a man at third that was threatening. Judge is in center tonight, kind of making up for the Olay play from Joey Gallo. Last I checked in, the Yanks were up 4-1 on the Cleveland Guardians. But this is the thing with my team that's frustrating. I could get over Garrett Cole having a bad April. Shit happens. He's a good pitcher. He'll come around. But to have the best team ERA or even be within the top 3 at this juncture of the year as we're getting close to the first month ending of the season, it's tough to lose some of the ways we've had. The Yankees have shut out the Toronto Blue Jays, who is a very respected offense, twice. But in their own right, the Yankees have been shut out 3 times this year. Still kind of extending from the narrative last year, having a lot of issues with runners in scoring position. It is very frustrating. It's early, but they all count. One thing that I do want to ask you, though, and I'm sure you hear it more so than I do, living in Long Island, and I know what kind of radio you listen to if you're not listening to music, obviously sports radio. What is your take on Aaron Judge not taking the initial Yankee contract, which in my opinion was a very fair one?
I think he wanted the commitment to the years more than the dollars. I think he wanted them to extend it further than what they did. And forgive me, I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. I think that's what he's looking at. I think if he was 2 years younger, that is there.
It would be there, yes.
I also
monies would be high enough where the years wouldn't annoy him.
I also think there are plenty of teams that are going to offer him money in the offseason, and he can leverage that for a little bit more. I think what he'll do is he'll get a solid offer from another team. They'll quote unquote leak it so that it'll get out there, and then he'll go back to the Yanks and say, I'll do it for X dollars less, but you have to give me the 2 extra years. And I think that's what his thing is. If the Yankees say no, he'll look great in the 5 hole behind Pete, and we'll reenact the '90s Bash Brothers in Queens.
I mean, personally, if he leaves the Yanks, I do think he's relocating to the West Coast. Having said that, I also believe that being the next captain of the Yankees means something to him because prior to the last captain winding it down, your current guy Robinson Cano was being groomed to potentially be the next captain. Now, given some of the follies that have happened in his career, because
Robinson Cano is not my guy.
No, I'm not saying he's your guy. I'm saying he plays.
If they got rid of him tomorrow, he's in the lineup tonight, batting 6th, and McNeil is batting 8th. I don't understand it.
The point I'm making is,
I know
it's a viable weapon that in a particular playoff scenario can come up huge for you, but you don't have to give him that kind of respect or want or desire to keep around as you do as a guy like a McNeil who you just mentioned. Other guys. All I'm saying is if Robbie Cano is the odd man out, you're ahead of the game because he could still fucking hit.
He can.
But the point thing I'm getting about with Judge is prior to Cano leaving, he was very much so considered to be a contender, potentially to be the next captain because, you talk about the greatest second baseman in Yankees history. Robinson Cano on a lot of people's list cracks that list. More traditional fans will say a Bobby Richardson, maybe a Willie Randolph, who obviously has ties with both our teams as well. But one thing I got to say, and I said this most recently, I don't know if you were able to check into the most recent show we did with Zach and Idris, but as of right now, the Mets are the better team. But I do believe that similar to your division last year, I think more so my division this year, the AL East is going to beat the ever-living shit out of one another.
They are already.
But hey, a split with Toronto, a series win against Boston. I don't want to talk about the Orioles. 2 out of 3 in Detroit. Fuck you, AJ Hinch. And right now we're beating the Guardians. I can't believe I haven't said the Indians yet, but I said the Guardians.
So baseball's a funny thing too, right? You gave up 3 home runs to Vladdy,
and then
first game, and then he took the golden sombrero the next night.
It's a funny game, dude. It's a funny game. You figure you shut out the Blue Jays twice in 4 days. You got to think you're feeling good playing against the lowly Orioles team, and then they punch you in the mouth. We play an upstart Tigers team. Tigers are definitely competitive.
So let me ask you a question, though.
I know where you go. I already know you. The Aaron Boone.
We're going to get to that. Fuck Aaron Boone. And walking Miggy.
Sound like a Boston fan right now.
Fuck him for walking Miggy. Those people were there to see history. They deserved it. And he deserved to at least swing the bat. Out of respect for the game, out of respect for fucking Miggy, and the fact that it's the start of the season, they should have let him at least swing the bat.
I love Cabrera. I have a lot of respect for him. So I would be the least upset if he did break the record against my team.
That's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say, yeah, but he cares if he broke the record against the team. I don't care if he broke the record against the Mets.
I understand why he did it. There is an explanation that is actually more logical.
Of course. I understand. So the other thing that they talk a lot about on Sports Talk Radio here is you clearly could have gotten Correa because he got one of the most team-friendly, player-friendly. Actually, he got the most player-friendly contract in the history of baseball contracts. You probably could have gotten Story. Instead you got I want a falafel, and I don't know that he's really doing much in terms of swinging the bat. Last I checked, he was sub 200.
He's hitting 412 over the last 4, though. He's starting to heat up. But no, not the best start. Defensively, I think was a big draw with what we did. We got rid of a horrific catcher. defensive catcher. Gary's offense was still among the top 5 at his position. Defensively, he was awful. I've got to admit, I actually like the platoon between Higgy and Trevino. But early going, is there anything that stands out to you elsewhere outside of the BX Borough and Queens? Is there anything that?
Yeah, there's some good stuff. I just want to say one last thing. This is because I love baseball.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
The Yankees don't feel like the Yankees to me right now. They don't feel like the Yankees. There is disingenuous is not the word. There is a disconnect. There, like the fact that forget about Steve Cohen and the Mets and forget about all that now, right? Like the boss would have gone out and gotten a big player and brought them in, right? Especially since, and not being funny by saying this, Cole has not lived up to his contract at all since he's been here. I mean, the playoff game against the Red Sox,
he was hurt though.
5 walks against the Tigers, So my point to you is, what is going on, right? And I'm asking sincerely because I don't know. Are they hurting financially? Did the quarantine, did COVID take away from them? When did the Yankees stop being the Yankees in terms of refusing to allow Boston to get the best player that they were going to get or whatever else? You signed Rizzo at first base. Great. I think the Donaldson trade was a big deal. Donaldson, I know you took the money on him, but he's a great player. And I think he's doing well.
Yeah. But Donaldson's just fine. And it's an upgrade over Gio Urshela offensively. You're not losing. You're actually gaining with the glove too. Kind of Falefa. I get it. Not the splashiest. Glove-wise, top 3.
Glove last year, that's fine. But, I just think –
you're talking the Starling Martes. You're talking the stars, the Trevor Stories. I personally don't think the Yankees wanted to go all in on Story for the sheer fact that I think that they have a high belief in their farm system with what they have working at shortstop.
Okay.
A frustration of mine more so was just not hammering down the deal with Judge. Garrett Cole, it's been up and down with him. I mean, he carried them the last couple of seasons for the majority of the season. His signature win as a member of the Yankees is probably going back to Houston and that complete game. That is his signature win as a New York Yankee. Yes, he got dinged around by our hated rivals last year. He was injured. Not overly worried about the events in Detroit. That weather was shit. It happens. But if we're having this same conversation in 4 weeks, then yeah, it's time to worry a little. Having said that, 4 days ago, I haven't looked at the stats this last couple of days, so to speak, but Yankees had the best team ERA, which means the bullpen is doing a damn good job, and guys are gutting out wins.
So let me put it to you a different way, and you also know what I'm trying to say to you. The best compliment that I can pay Steinbrenner is that Steve Cohen is similar in certain ways.
He's not afraid to get his man.
No, it's not even that. He loved the fucking Yankees, and he refused to lose, right? I don't know if Hal and Hank and Cashman and these guys have the same kind of commitment to that.
Well, Hank's God, but Hank passed away. But the thing is, I feel that Hank had more of the Steinbrenner cajones, so to speak. I
don't know if Steinbrenner was a Latin name.
Oh God. This is my thing. The dynasty, as you like to call them, the Snore Four, was built through the farm, Gene Stick Michael, while George Steinbrenner was suspended from Major League Baseball. Now, I get it. In the 70s, he wasn't afraid to get Reggie. He wasn't afraid to fire Billy Martin 3 times in a week. I hate what he did to Yogi. I think that was so fucked up. I love George Steinbrenner, but that was fucked up what he did to Yogi. I understand what you're saying, though. And when you're trying to go at the more established team in the city, I understand what Steve's doing, and ultimately it comes down to results. Not everybody wins with the same formula. Like, for instance, the Red Sox don't use the analytical tree the way that your team, my team, most of baseball does. For the most part, Cora has done a good enough job to run that way. Um, Ultimately, I think the Yankees did get a little cheap this year. I'm not going to lie. I was more pissed about getting another starter than what we were going to do in the outfield, what we were going to do. You know, Bogarts isn't happy in Boston contractually. He's going to be moving on, which would lead me to believe that Story will not be playing second. He's going back to short. Joey Gallo, big bust. At the same time, we didn't give up much to get him, so I'm not going to lose my shit over it. He draws enough walks to forgive the average. But, you know, in the early going, am I going to sit here and tell you that this is championship pedigree that I'm seeing my team playing? Absolutely not. I'm not used to the Yankees, you know, not scoring runs. They're still good for the long ball, but they're not playing small ball. They don't bunt when the shift is applied, the last year of the shift probably. A lot of things that can make any hitting purist frustrated. But the pitching has been good enough. Doing a show, bud. I'll get back to you.
You doing a show?
Yeah, brother.
You want to put me on?
By the way, the Yankee game went final 4-1 Yanks. That was Sean Bradley. Didn't mean to hang up the phone on you like that.
By the way, that wasn't a phone call. That was Richie's reminder for his special meds.
No, there's nobody in there, bro. It's a quiet night over here. Hey, Bob.
So you asked about the rest of baseball. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on, right? I think Syndergaard to the Angels was a big plus.
Absolutely.
Great. I got to tell you, man, I shit all over them, right? That it was boring out there, whatever else. Man, Shohei Ohtani, except for that one start where he gave up, a couple of runs and got pinched in the fifth. I mean, he is something to watch. And that team out there, Trout healthy now, I think that they're headed in the right direction. I think they're going to take that division, and I think that they could do some damage, especially, it's crazy watching Ohtani play, man. It's crazy. You talk about generational. Like they're talking about, in Japan, they're trying to pedigree these guys to be like this moving forward. It doesn't matter. I don't care. There's no way that you can teach someone to be that. I mean, it's just nuts. And
no, it's different. And I mentioned it on a couple of shows back. I actually drafted Ohtani as a pitcher and the utility hitter. So I basically have two Ohtanis on my team. Obviously the same. That's pretty dope. What do you think about fantasy baseball?
He also loves baseball, man. He's like a little kid watching him play. Like he's doing crazy stuff with the hats and hair and messing with them. He doesn't even speak English.
Bro, I'll be honest, man. He gives me the Ken Griffey Jr. vibes.
I get it.
And it's awesome. And that guy killed my team. But always enjoyed watching him play. Always a fan first before anything else. But I got to say, in the early going, Rich, you guys are the better team in New York. I do not have a problem admitting that. It is April. But the difference between this particular Met team, and I've said it before, you have the right leadership. And Buck Showalter has unfortunately not been in the right place at the right time when it came to getting the glory of the work he put in. Yeah. It happened with the Yanks. He was the D-backs too. He probably wanted to punch his TV when the Yankees and D-backs played that epic Game 7 back in 2001. But I'm going to move this along.
Hold on. I got three more quick ones. Pujols back to the Cardinals is awesome.
Yeah, it's his last year. Him and Molina go together.
Old man Wainwright, old man Yachty, and old man Pujols relived their days together is great to see. Detroit's gotten off a hot start. As much as Baez was an asshole when he was here, he's an amazing player, and to see him there doing what he's doing has been pretty awesome. The Reds suck. I mean, It's crazy how bad they are. And you know what? Fuck the Dodgers. So
Dude, one last thing I want to say before we move on to the next topic. I gotta tip my hat to the Oakland Athletics. They're not drawing dick. I think more people showed up to the Hagen O'Reilly softball game that I used to play in.
you see that they had like less than 4,000 people at a game.
That's what I'm getting at, bro. But you look at the record, they lost two of their star pitch. Oh, well, they lost, two of their star pitchers.
Yeah,
The only man, you got one of them. The Padres got the other Manaya. Montez is still there.
they'll
But
be gone.
they still can the pitching staff is still performing, which is pretty remarkable considering and they kind of give me the Rays vibes. Ultimately, I think that team, I'm talking about the Oakland Athletics, are doing the Rays a favor. And Jordan would be happy about that if he was here. Jordan, obviously, big Rays fan, good friend of the show. Oakland being more atrocious attendance-wise than the Rays might actually help keep the Rays in Tampa. Maybe Oakland goes to Montreal or goes to Vegas. Personally, I think they go to Vegas. We'll see how that plays out. Something a little less lighthearted, well, unless if you were the guy who caught these right crosses. Buddy, me and you are Nintendo guys. And little Mac, he had that good head movement, dude. What in the name of H would propel someone to want to step to the baddest man on the planet, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson? Dude, you saw the video, right?
What a Mahone.
Dude, what the fuck was he thinking?
Oh my God. We talked about this before the show started. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna quote Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face.
Fucking face. Yes, sir.
How the fuck do you think, so I don't know this guy's age. I should have looked it up before we started. I'm going to guess that he is a millennial or sub a millennial because this is the thing, right? When you and I were kids, we did a lot of crazy shit. There weren't phones around to keep track of it. I also understood that if I spoke out of
Fucking blood.
to a guy that was bigger than me, or a guy that was, a black belt or fucking Mike Tyson, I deserve to get my ass handed to me. There's a sense of entitlement now because everybody feels protected because everybody picks this up right away.
Yeah.
And right, there's no protection. And anybody who says that he was wrong, I don't know what he was calling him a peasant. Did you hear him saying like peasant or whatever, like all this stuff? Like, dude, it's fucking Mike Tyson.
To know Mike Tyson's humble backgrounds, you call that man a peasant, you're poking in a direction of.
I'm not even sure what he was saying, but whatever
ugly,
it is,
dude.
literally, you
don't do that shit.
You were safer holding a gun in your mouth, a loaded gun in your mouth.
And the thing with Mike is one of those people that I've always respected because it seems like through a lot of his trials and tribulations, a lot of heartache in his life, he's been able to find a decent amount of peace in his latter years.
He's learned, right? He built on it.
One thing I love about Mike, he owns it. Not a lot of guys are about owning their mistakes no matter how old they get. Mike does that, and I appreciate that about Mike. Mike's honest. But even the media, with the lisp, the way he speaks, a lot of people try to play out Mike like if he's not intelligent, and they're sorely mistaken. That dude got exactly
the cannabis empire. He's fucking rich as it comes.
Which is good because he deserves to get some of that scratch back after what Don King did to his ass.
Well, man, he fucking yoked that kid up.
And God's honest truth, I still think he held back a little because Mike could have really killed that dude if he wanted to.
I heard those shots, though, man.
You couldn't pay me enough to get hit by that man. I don't care if he's 55, 56, whatever he is now. No, sir.
This is, and this conversation can go on forever, but I'm going to just say this. This is where we are as a society. People think that they are protected because somebody's going to video it, whatever else, right?
Yeah.
40, 50 years ago, our grandparents' generation, if you came home and said, the guy around the corner slapped me in the mouth, and then, your father or my dad or my grandfather or your grandfather, Yogi there asked, well, what happened? And you said something and you mouthed off to him. He's like, all right. And he walked over there and he told that guy, don't ever raise your hands to my kid again. And then he turned around and slapped you in the mouth and said, don't ever answer back somebody like that again. And that was the end of it, right? You learned your lesson. You got slapped twice. And this guy, whatever.
That's the thing. Accountability. Because in addition to getting cracked by the dude that you mouthed off to, you were going to get cracked by your own child.
Of course.
That's the way we were raised.
Not to mouth off to adults or whoever.
No, sir.
And that is, man.
Not without ramifications and repercussions. Fuck that noise.
I think Tyson should be exonerated of any issues with this.
I think he'll be fine, buddy. I really do. And
I also think he should
the irony of the situation, and we're making fun of the phone, is that it actually will help Mike in this case.
Yeah.
You figure that. I'm going to make this short and ever so sweet because I'm going to do a big draft show next week. I don't know, Rich. February of 2012 was the last time I can honestly watch a Giants game front to back and say, wow, man, we actually have 5 solid blockers. It's been that long, dude. They fell, and they fell quick. It's been over a decade since our New York Giants hoisted a Lombardi, and it feels like even longer since we've so much as competed and not mimicked the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make this short and ever so sweet because I know, you're not supposed to tell people what you're planning on doing during the draft, so I'm going to take it from here.
Right.
I'm
going to let you know a little secret.
Yeah.
We're taking a punter in the first round.
I mean, punters are valuable with the kind of offense we were playing last year. I'm going to say this quickly. Joe Shane, one thing I love about what he's done with the Giants already is that he's holding guys accountable. Guys are showing up. Guys are competing for their positions. Brian Dable coming from a very successful program in Buffalo. I like the Tyrod Taylor move. He knows the offense well, coming from the Buffalo system previously, getting his lung punctured with the Chargers. Giants, in my opinion, got rid of some bad contracts. This is my opinion of what they do. The whole world knows the Giants need a right tackle. There's going to be one on the board. They take him. With that 7th pick, you find the best trade partner and trade into next year's first round because that's where they get their quarterback of the future. Unless if Daniel Jones proves us wrong, I think he's somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's as bad as portrayed. I certainly don't think he's as good as portrayed. But what's interesting about this is if the Giants were to draft at 5 and 7 and take these players, they don't necessarily have the financial means to make that make sense. And that's why when you look at what their salary cap looks like next year versus this coming season, I think it's a no-brainer that they're going to have to trade that 7th pick. And if they don't get a first-rounder next year, at least trade into the teams where there's still a lot of good value. This team still needs another edge rusher to help out Ojulari. And I read that the Giants potentially might be considering shopping Kadarius Toney, who was Dave Gettleman's first-round pick last year. The brass is not happy that he did not go to voluntary minicamp. I have mixed feelings. It is voluntary. But at the same time, when you're coming off the year that all these guys came off of, you want to see commitment. This is once proud.
Very good, man. And unfortunately, I don't think he's a wide receiver. I think he's a trick play. And unless we're, resurrecting, unless Daniel Jones is going to become Mike Vick or, even, I don't know, fill in the blank. But right, unless the quarterback is also someone who can take off or do something crazy, it doesn't work in the system that we have here. If you had even Jameis Winston and Tony together, right? You have to keep both of these guys contained.
I am semi-optimistic because of the fact that we're implementing Buffalo's offense, where I do think it plays into Jones' strengths. But having said that, I try to look for silver linings when it comes to the frustration of being a Giants fan. And all I can say is that it took Phil Simms up until about year 5 to prove that he was their dude. I don't like to look backwards. One thing I will say, interceptions and the fumble ratio almost on par with Eli. And Eli had a much better team around him. And I don't think the Giants owe Daniel Jones anything just because Eli had some of these issues as well. It's not about looking in the past, because if the Giants are trying to do business like they did in the early 2000s or in the 80s and 90s, I just want
Eli
Mariota.
had more accuracy. Eli, what is Eli most famous for, right? Fourth quarter.
Absolutely. I mean, on the grandest stage, he was that dude.
When the pressure was high, he did what he needed to do. Daniel Jones unfortunately looks like a deer in headlights half the time, and some of that's our fault, the Giants' fault.
Yeah, they didn't do him any favors.
In front of him.
That's all I really got on the New York Football Giants. I'm going to go deep into a draft show.
I think Saquon's seen his days in New York. I think this year is step one. I think this year, right, to put it into, they're building. There's going to be more coming in and more going out, and I think that they're going to kind of reset what's happening here.
Honestly, even if he has a great year, unless if he's willing to take that hometown discount, I still don't see necessarily the value in bringing him back. Once again, this is not the 90s. I understand the buzz around him, generational talent, and I do feel in a lot of ways that he still could have a wonderful career. I just don't think it's meant to be with our team anymore. And all I can say is that I want to be proven wrong. But regardless of his performance this year, the investment past this year just doesn't make sense unless if he's willing to possibly play ball with some sort of hometown discount, because, playing in New York has its perks too, especially when it comes to endorsements and just being big around, the NFL, which is a global brand. But, I do believe that this is probably Saquon's last year. Having said that, I don't think they're trading him. Anything else you want to add before we scoot on out of here?
And I'm just happy baseball's back. I can tell you, for the first time in a long time, I've been kind of watching more baseball outside of just the Mets, and I'm signed up for Fubo TV just to get the Mets. But then I wake up and after the kids go to school, or the baby's down for her nap, before I get into my day, I'm watching Quick Pitch, and I mean, I'm excited. There's lots of storylines unfolding already. There's a lot of good stuff going on in baseball, and like I said, full house back to the Cards. Cards and Brewers are going to be going at it. I think that's awesome. Giants Dodgers probably back into the mix. I don't think Tatis, and what a disappointment, constantly getting hurt. Just want to see him play.
I'd like to think that he's not going to fuck around with these motorcycles anymore.
Or now that you see the video of him with the soccer ball.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck the Padres team for that matter.
Got shades of your boy Cespedes with some of these irrational decisions.
Cespedes is coming back for Old Timers Day this year. I don't know if you saw that. Cologne, Cespedes, Daniel Murphy, Cliff Floyd, Turk Wendell, I think Paulie Dukes.
Oh, Turk Wendell. That's a blast from the past. A little known fact, my late father was actually a big fan of him, Turk Wendell. My dad really liked him.
Why?
He just thought he was a gamer.
Necklace?
My old man thought he was a gamer. Two Mets that my old man always really respected: Turk Wendell, John Franco. Yeah, my old man liked John Franco. Personally, I think it was because of the mustache. That's just my opinion, though.
Franco looked like a cop from the 90s.
Word up. Rich, I really appreciate you being on the show tonight. I apologize for this nasal thing. I think these allergies been kicking my ass, bro. Awesome seeing you tonight. My boys won tonight. I got to watch the majority of that game, which was nice. I've been working a lot of hours, so haven't had a big chance to dive into baseball as much as I want to. Usually following a lot of things on the phone.
The
But
Bucks are losing 1-0 right now to the Diamondbacks.
I got something to watch. I'm gonna throw them on when I get outside. T-shirts coming soon, guys. Gonna get these car mags out. As you see, we got the new logo. Rich and I are gonna discuss that further in the near future. Rich, thank you so much, buddy. I greatly appreciate you being on the show tonight. Had a good time talking with you, buddy.
Wasn't being on the phone. Was checking on your niece. She's sleeping.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And obviously, I got to see Izzy today for a little bit. That was cool. I was on my way out. They were coming in, but it was good to see them.
Yeah, Black Universal.
Yeah. I'm happy that that they had a good time, bro. Whenever you could, making people happy, especially kids. It's always more than worth it. And when she gets old enough to know what's happening, we'll get her out here to Florida, take her to some of the parks. Obviously, Disney probably be the first step because she's much younger than Izzy. But we are out, guys. Have a great night. And Rich, I will talk to you soon, brother.
I'll send you a Mets jersey. Love you.
Love you too, my man. Peace.